So we know that the spousal sponsorship process can be excruciatingly painful process with lengthy timelines, low updates from IRCC, and to top it all, the uncertainty of COVID and the latest update, the Russia-Ukraine war.
So in this video, we are going to talk about a couple of points. Can you meet your spouse during the application process? How we planned our trip, meeting each other while our application process was still going on. And third, what all things we did when we were away in two different countries, in two different time zones to support each other and hang in there till we get our good news.
You can make use of the timestamps that we have posted on this video if you want to jump onto a specific section for which you are here for.
So let's begin. Hi guys, welcome back to our channel.
So you guys might be wondering why we are sitting in the car and we are talking to you guys today. Unlike our other videos wherein we are just sitting in our comfort of the home. So today is very sunny, the weather is really beautiful, and we just thought that let's go out and explore the place. And this is a video that we had originally planned to prepare very long back.
So today we thought that let's share our experience with you all before it's too late. So let's begin with the first question. Can you meet your spouse once you have filed your PR application?
Alright, so before we even go ahead, this particular topic is relevant in case you have applied for an outline sponsorship process. Now, if you do not know what is an outline sponsorship process, I believe you have still not submitted the application, and if you have not submitted the application, you might want to check out some previous videos that we have prepared on this topic. So the thing that governs whether you can meet your spouse during the application is in process is the status of the sponsor. Now, if the sponsor is a Canadian citizen, there is no restriction for him or her to travel and meet his or her spouse. It really is a criteria or a restriction if the status of the sponsor is a permanent resident. So, if you are a permanent resident who has sponsored your spouse, then the point blank answer is you cannot travel to meet your spouse while the application is in progress. So you can see on the screen that IRCC's instruction specifically says that a permanent resident can only sponsor if they are living inside of Canada and not outside. But this does not mean that you cannot meet your spouse at all. It really depends on how long you want to go out of the country and meet your spouse. There can be a genuine reason for you to travel, which is understandable by even an immigration officer. So there are two ways of you meeting your spouse or your partner during the application is in progress. First, applying for the applicant's TRV or the visitor visa. Now, this has got a lot of criteria and a lot of conditions that needs to be fulfilled before you get your visitor visa approved. We have seen, and in fact, when we were actually submitting the application, we also thought of applying for a visitor visa. There are a lot of criteria that you need to fulfill. For example, you need to prove to the immigration officer that you are going to travel back to your home country once your period of, let's say, 6 months is consumed, and to prove that you have ties to your home country. For example, you have employment which is ongoing, you have some custodial arrangement that you need to take care of, there are some obligations that you need to fulfill in your home country that actually is going to prove that you are going to go back. So there are a lot of things that actually goes into preparing and applying for a visitor visa, and there are very less chances of getting it approved. There are a lot of approvals. We did not actually went ahead with TRV because we were sure that we will not be able to qualify for a lot of other criteria. And the second alternative by which you can meet your spouse is if the sponsor travels outside of Canada to whichever place you want to meet up. Let's say, for example, you can also go to your home country where your spouse resides, or maybe you can meet up in some other country wherein you would want to plan a small vacation. So this is what actually we went ahead with, and we'll talk about that in the later part of the video. The most obvious question that usually comes up is whether you should wait for your acknowledgement of receipt before planning your travel, or you are good to go ahead right away after submitting the application. So in our opinion, there is one parameter that is going to govern this particular decision, is whether you have applied by online mode of application or you have applied in a paper-based application. So when we did our sponsorship process, we applied by a paper-based application. So what happens is when you're submitting your paper-based application, you submit the entire documentation setup that you have done, all the months and compiled everything. You're going to submit it to IRCC. The first status update that you will receive from IRCC is an acknowledgement of receipt. When you get that, it means your entire application set is reviewed by an immigration agent and they have found that the entire package is good to go. So this means your application is not going to be returned at all. and after this you are going to expect the natural progression of status updates. Now let's say there was one set of document that was missing, or something that you have submitted is in not the right format, or let's say you have missed out on some signatures. Now, around the same topic we have prepared a detailed video around what are the reasons your application can be returned. If you have not watched that, you can click on the link up somewhere above or in the description box below. So let's say your application gets returned to you. This is going to be returned by mail, and someone is going to drop that entire courier package in front of your doorstep. Now you have to be at your home, or someone has to be at the place where the application is going to be returned, and this returning address is the sponsor's address or the sponsor's correspondence address. So let's say, God forbid, your application got returned. You would not want that you are out of your correspondence address and you are flying somewhere in the another part of the world and your package is lying outside the doorstep. And this is going to kill a lot of time, and this is going to be disheartening once you come back and see that your application got returned. So in this case, what we would recommend is, if you have submitted a paper-based application, do not plan your travel till the time you have not received your AOR 1, which is acknowledgement of receipt.
But if you have submitted your application via the online portal, you can go ahead and plan your travel even if you have not received your AOR 1, because even if there is an issue with your application, or let's say if your signature is missing or you might have not given the right address, they are going to give you all the information to you via the online portal. So you guys can go ahead and plan your travel. Having said that, the next question that might come up is how long you should plan your travel.
So there is no straightforward answer for this, and that is the reason we know that there are a lot of people who have these questions in their mind. So in our opinion, when we talked with a lot of other people, we found that planning your travel for 2 to 3 weeks, or probably maximum a month, is not going to harm your application.
So we planned our travel for 3 weeks, and we decided to meet somewhere in the middle, so that it's easier for Ankit also to travel from Canada, and as well as for me to travel from India, especially during the COVID times. And the best location that we could shortlist for ourselves was Dubai.
There are a lot of other criteria that we had evaluated when we finalized that we will meet in Dubai, and rather than me traveling all the way to India. The first one was, of course, saving the travel time. So by me traveling from Canada to Dubai, I saved 4 or 5 more hours of travel from if I would have traveled all the way to India. The second was, there is also a time difference between Dubai and India. Out of the 3 weeks that we had planned for the travel, for 2 weeks we were going to work from Dubai, and for 1 week we were planning a complete vacation.
I was working in Indian time zone and Ankit was working in Eastern time zone, and at Dubai we were able to mix both these work times as well as our personal times together.
And the final reason we decided for Dubai was that I already traveled in Dubai and I knew the place, and it has a great vibe to it, and it is a beautiful place if you have not seen it. The travel that we had planned was in the month of January to February, 2 weeks of Jan and first week of Feb. That is a perfect time to be in Dubai because the weather is really good. It is not too hot, it is not too cold. And I was going to go out of Canada at the peak of the winters. That was a good change for me. And to top it all, we have an amazing set of friends who are already in Dubai, and we were really excited to meet them.
Let us share our experience of traveling to Dubai and how we planned our trip during COVID.
So the first things first. This is something that we did and which is what we would not recommend anyone else to do. We had traveled to Dubai before we had even received our AOR 1. So we submitted the application package in the month of December 2020 and we traveled in mid of January 2021. So if you are doing a paper-based application, we would recommend that would not be the right way of going ahead. But then we knew that during COVID, people were taking like 5 to 6 months to get an AOR, and we never wanted to wait that long.
During this travel, Dubai had become our mini home. We had booked a mini apartment that had a kitchen, and it was located in Bur Dubai, which is densely populated by many Indians, and it has got beautiful malls and beautiful view to it.
And you get some great choice of Indian and Arabic cuisine.
We used to make breakfast at home, enjoy lunch together, and for dinners we usually went out to enjoy the nightlife of Dubai.
And next to the place where we were staying, there was a small chai ki tapri. We used to go there for evening tea.
We two were meeting each other after 5 or 6 months, and we were really excited to be together and sharing a space where I was working in Indian time zone and Ankit was working in Eastern time zone. The whole experience was very different but very beautiful at the same time. And top of it, we had our friends who accompanied us and were humble enough to show us around.
Okay, I think Ankita can go on and on about Dubai and she would never stop because that is a place where she really liked and she has some amazing memory of that place. But moving on, the key thing that we wanted to talk about if you are planning your travel is make sure that you're keeping yourself updated about the latest changes in travel restrictions. We know that the situation right now, especially around COVID, is much better than what it was during 2021 when we were traveling in January. In fact, during the time you would know that Canada had imposed a mandatory hotel quarantine. That news came out when we were still in Dubai. And luckily the return journey that I had was just 1 week before the mandatory quarantine was imposed. So if you are traveling outside of Canada, follow all the important Twitter handles, especially related to travel and travel restrictions, so you do not get nasty surprises when you are meeting your loved one.
We both understand that planning this kind of a trip can be time consuming, economically impactful, especially during the COVID times when the situations and regulations are changing.
So when we embarked on this journey of the entire sponsorship process, and we came with a separation of like around 9 months cumulatively, so we found some small ways wherein we were able to manage our time and manage the distance. Here we are going to share the experience that we had accumulated over a period of time.
First, have a schedule.
So it is really important that you and your partner understand each other's schedule. Even if you are a student, even if you are a working professional, what time zones you are in, how are you going to manage your social life in the place where you are living and still be able to give time to each other. This becomes again really important if one of you is a late riser, or maybe both of you are late risers. So if you are having a weekend, plan to spend more time with each other.
We used to watch movies together or our favorite series together via Zoom, and this used to make us feel that though we are on separate screens, but we are connected and we are having those moments together wherein we are watching a common series or our common show together. As far as possible, we would recommend you connecting with your partner or spouse through video calls rather than the normal phone calls, because seeing each other and talking to each other builds a different connection rather than having an audio call.
We have gone through the phase wherein you are going through right now. You might have that feeling that nothing is seeming well, there is no end in sight, or probably the application is taking a bit longer and that is ruining or affecting your relationship. In these situations, we would strongly recommend that you try to have group calls with your friends and family. Those are the people who are always going to be there for you, even if you are having doubts about the entire thing that is you have applied for, right? So we are really grateful for the friends and the families that we have had. They have always given us a group call and we have connected with them like for hours and hours, and they have always there for us to support us. Besides this, you will also need to be connected to the people who are going through the same process. So for that, the best way is reach out to similar people on Facebook. Try to connect with them. If not, obviously it will not be really comfortable to get on a call with those people, but at least discussing with what you are feeling right now or discussing what the pain that you're going through, that is going to be really helpful.
You can also share your timelines and at the same time be cognizant of what are their timelines, what is the status on their application. Has there been a move from a specific application center? For example, if you are connected to somebody from Canada or maybe from any other country who have filed their application and their visa application center is Ottawa, and you also have your application that is being processed in the same center, he or she will update you like what's the further update that the person has received, and that definitely gives a positive energy when you are sailing in the same boat.
It is very natural that you get engrossed with the overall process and get engrossed and keep checking what is the status, where we are, what's the travel restriction, when are we going to meet. But this does not mean that you should not look at your own individual's life and build your own individual social circle and grow yourself professionally. For example, when we were not together, we used to encourage each other to go and visit and attend a lot of other social and family events. So when Ankita was in India, I used to encourage her to visit and attend some social functions. And even in my case, I used to go out of my place and meet some friends during the weekends. So each individual gets a fresh air and take your mind away from that sponsorship process.
And at the same time, what's important is that you need to grow individually as well. For example, in our case, I visited a very old hobby of mine, which was painting. I took up a lot of online courses and somebody had gifted me a beautiful iPad during the time, which I leveraged for learning the digital art, and I was engrossed doing that. And Ankit, on the other hand, had his fixed schedules of going to his gym, reading books and meeting new friends in Canada.
And the last point that we have is make sure that you guys have contact information of each other's friends and family. This will serve two purposes. First, it will help you during the emergencies, and secondly, they might help you arrange some special surprises for your partner.
We hope and pray that your application gets processed in time and you are with your loved ones soon. If you guys have any questions regarding the spousal application process, we create a lot of videos around that topic which we might link up as well in our description. But apart from that, if you need any moral support, any advice, and if you want to chat with us to know more what all we did to go through this process together, feel free to reach out to us on our Instagram handle or comment us in the section below. And if you like the content that we make, please subscribe to our channel and hit the like button. See you all in our next video. Till then, take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. फाइनली डन.
या चलो
शॉपिंग करने चले.
चलो, अब टाइम पता नहीं कितना बचा है, 1 घंटा.